Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Thanks so much for being with us. Do check out our other videos, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. We're looking today, are Holiness churches cults? Now, here in the Deep South, we have Holiness churches that are Trinitarian, that are Baptist, obviously Oneness Pentecostals. There's even, I think, some Binitarians that are Holiness, and then some have the Holiness tradition from like Socinians, and then we have a contingent of Amish and Mennonite down here as well. Now, it's by no means a majority or anything, but all these groups are represented down here where I'm at in the Deep South. And so it's kind of a common misperception that Holiness churches, from a sociological viewpoint, and I've done several videos on this, on the various types of cults and definitions and what is a cult, what's not a cult, what's defined as a cult that's really not a cult, what really is a cult, and what danger signs to look out for there, that Holiness churches, people who would teach that the Bible teaches modesty, things like uncut hair on women, short hair on men, 1 Corinthians 11, modest dress, the lack of personal ornamentation, 1 Peter 3, 1 Timothy 2. Yes, I know different people have different interpretations on that as well. But because people take that literally, as almost all of American society did 100 years ago, that's somehow a cult and legalism. Now, I will say that it could be presented that way and it could be taken that way. And one thing we really try to have here, let's say at New Life of Albany, but most apostolic pastors and Holiness pastors I know of try to do this, that they commend themselves to every man's conscience in the fear of God. We don't want anybody to do something that they're not comfortable with or they don't believe in. I think where some of the tension comes in is you have a church that the bylaws are holiness, the bylaws are biblical holiness, and then somebody says, well, I want to be a member of that church. Well, great, we want you to be. Here's the qualifications. Just like there's qualifications, you just can't show up to work at Kroger unless you've gone through a hiring process or something, or Delta, or something along those lines. You can't be a Mason, which I would recommend not being a Mason, but I've known some very nice Masons and in times past and all this. There's certain processes, and so the New Testament has a initiation process, so to speak. That's Christian initiation. That's a theological term. Some people aren't comfortable with it, but that is a theological term. What is Christian initiation? John R.W. Stott, and on and so forth. And so it's like, well, I want to join this church. Okay, here's what we believe. Well, I don't believe that. Okay, we don't care if you come to church, be here, don't teach contrary to this, because we would say this is biblical doctrine, and that's causing division. 6 things does the Lord hate. 7 is an abomination, he that sows discord among brethren. So we don't care if you come here, just don't teach go to a church. If you're going to expound on things, go to a church you're more comfortable with. Now, obviously, holiness standards, if they're presented a certain way, can be authoritarian, can be legalism, and could probably be construed as some type of broad definition cult. And depending on how severe it was, may be a very bad definition cult as well. But again, I think that's where a great point of tension is people are like, yes, I want to be a part of this church. And it's like, great, we want you to be. Here's what we believe and teach. Well, I don't believe and teach that. Okay, so that's your choice. You're a free moral agent. Don't try to change the entire church unless somehow you think, just find a church that you are comfortable with, or continue coming there. Maybe over the course of time, the light will come on. You'll be like, yeah, that's what they're talking about. And, fellowship with the people, but know that you may not be on the platform. You may not be used. You may not be a Sunday school teacher. You may not be an usher, whatever the case is, and that type thing. But no, holiness churches, you just can't say they're blanket cult, because you would have entire groups and sects of Sikhs and Buddhists and Catholic priests and Orthodox priests and Muslims and others that you would just paint with that broad brush because they have a particular dress code or dress standard or belief of how people ought to dress or something like that. And if you're not careful, anybody, Cintas is going to be the great cult thing because it brings uniforms to people and everybody has to dress. You mean I've got to wear a Publix uniform, or I'm not accepted at Publix, and I do the work, and why can't I be in Publix, on and on and so forth. So just because somebody's different, it's so easy to pick on the other. And this is the marginalization. There's obviously social engineering. There's demonic things that go in that. It's just human nature to pick on the different. If somebody's a Jew and they're around people that aren't Jewish, their customs, that type of thing, people pick on them in this type thing, possibly sometimes, and they shouldn't. And it could be that way with holiness people as well. Oh, that's not the majority of society. Hollywood tells us to dress like this, and Madison Avenue says this, and the Paris catwalks and runways say this, and they're not doing this. Hollywood says this. If Hollywood says yes, how can people say no? Isn't that Michael Medved or whoever? And Reginald Showers, I think, has some good stuff on that too. But, just because somebody chooses to believe the Bible doesn't mean that it's a negative connotative cult. Again, cult can occasionally have a positive connotation. So it shouldn't be construed as that. So God bless you. We love you. Just follow the word. We'll see you. Bye-bye.